Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to this episode of Making Filmmakers. I love Harry Potter, and it is the main reason why I became a filmmaker. The Harry Potter films are the best film school I could possibly ever ask for. Today, I want to take a deep dive into The Prisoner of Azkaban and specifically look at the camera movement and blocking to show you just how powerful these filmmaking tools can be. This film was directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Alfonso brought a different life into the Harry Potter franchise. He brought the more darker elements, basically the much more serious elements that the franchise needed to grow. The characters were getting older, the actors were getting older, and I think it was just a great marriage of material and director. Joe Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, thought that Alfonso was the perfect director for this film because her subject matter was getting darker, and she actually championed him to be picked to direct this film. So we start with the scene with Harry and Lupin on the bridge. And what's so great about this scene is it's all, after this cut, it's basically all one take. So if we pause it right here, we have our two subjects. Harry is on the right and Lupin is on the left. And as you notice, they are divided by the plank that's basically in the center of them. That shows their division in their viewpoints. They are not seeing eye to eye right now because of the division between them and also the directions that they're looking. Lupin is looking to the right and Harry is looking to the left. Okay, we can play. So now we're going to wait until he turns around. And it's interesting when he turns around, notice that the shot still keeps going. We haven't cut yet. And notice how he's positioned the same as Harry, but he still doesn't really look the same direction as Harry. And notice now here Lupin is mentioning memories of Harry's mother. But now notice as Lupin continues to talk about Harry's mother, Harry begins to smile because it's obviously bringing happiness. But Lupin is turned away now, and this signifies that Lupin can no longer face Harry with the reality of what Lupin is talking about, which is his situation, his physical disability that he has. Also notice that the camera pushes in on Harry and the division line becomes stronger. Now they equally share the same amount of screen space, but notice that Lupin's screen space is tiny and almost suffocates him until he has to come back and join Harry. You want to make sure that your camera movement is motivated and also the blocking of your actors. And then we see the camera pull out, the take ends. And what's so masterful about this is that it was all done in one shot. So much is conveyed there if you think about it, the character's mental state, how they're feeling of one another. Also notice that when they come back, they are in the same position. Lupin is more relaxed. They are facing the same direction. They are equals. And then you can see here in this next scene, again, the subject matter that they're talking about both is defeating the Dementor. So the Dementor is kind of the center of their relationship. And you can see here that they are divided again by the candle in this scene. The person with the internal struggle, the emotional struggle that's expressing their feelings is on the left, and the person listening is on the right of screen. So you notice that the camera is pushing in and again gives Lupin less screen room and Harry more screen room, just mirroring the other scene that we talked about on the bridge. And now, see, as they close out the scene, they are now as equals. Once again, both sitting down this time, they are now seen as equals and as friends again. And this subtly shows the audience that the teacher and the student are becoming closer, and now Harry has somebody he can trust. And now we're going to transition into another example of masterclass filmmaking. So the scene opens up in the magical world. What's so cool about this scene is it's our first time in the film. It's the first time that Harry's actually in the magical world, interacting with people who he's known not his entire life, but people that he's known. And we see the Leaky Cauldron's populated with a bunch of people. And what Alfonso did so great here is he fleshes out the world in the background. Again, it doesn't call attention to it. It's not our main focus, but we see the world being developed. We see magic. And that's what's so great about what Alfonso did here. Pause. So we've noticed too, you saw that Mrs. Weasley's hand tapped Harry, and pay attention to hands in this scene. It's very important. It will definitely come back into play. So if we pause here, if we look at just the blocking in this scene, Mr. Weasley has now taken Harry. He's taking Harry away from the crowd. Notice to the right, we see the poster of Sirius Black, who is the foreboding, ominous presence throughout the entire film. Now, Harry is being taken away from the happiness and the comfort of his friends and family to learn something very dark and very serious. Now, you notice what we did here. We didn't follow the characters. Usually in films, what you do is you follow characters, but Alfonso made the distinct decision to keep the poster in frame. Notice how in this scene, the poster stays in the shot the entire time. This is also the first time in the film that the film has gotten very serious. Up to this point, we have seen a lot of lighthearted, a lot of comedic scenes, pretty warm and funny scenes that we've come to know from Harry Potter. But from here on out in the film, it's very dark and a very serious time for our main character, Harry Potter. Notice that the extras have moved in the background, and that cues the actors blocking and the camera movement to move at the same time. It's all synchronized, it's all planned out. And once they get here, again, look, Sirius is in between them. He's in the middle. So therefore, Alfonso has chosen to show you visually what's in the middle of their conversation and what they're talking about. Mr. Weasley is physically blocking Harry's view from the world that he left behind in this scene, obviously. He wants him to pay attention to what he is telling him. And notice now that Mr. Weasley's put both hands on Harry, it says grave danger, basically just emphasizing how important this is. And the first time that Harry actually mentions Sirius Black, he looks at the poster on the wall. And now Mr. Weasley takes Harry away from that situation, and notice how the lighting in the scene has gotten darker. The situation, again, gets more intense and more intense as the scene goes on, and yet we have another poster that we didn't see before, showing that Sirius Black never leaves the situation, never leaves the conversation at all. We are in the most intense part of the discussion. And from a cinematography standpoint, look at how Harry is still in the light. Even though all this darkness and all this sadness has come into his world, there's still a shining light on Harry's face. And now the camera pushes in for a close-up on Harry. So the scene was all shot on Steadicam, which is basically a cameraman walking around with the camera, and it's on an arm, so it's all smooth. You are experiencing the moment independently of these two actors. You are there in the scene with them. Sometimes it's a lot more effective to show how your character's feeling visually and through what they're actually doing with their body and their physicality rather than just their words. When you're doing a film, narrative is your most important tool, but it's a tool to create a cinematographic experience, to create those moments that are beyond narrative, that are almost an abstraction of that moment that hits your psyche. With that, I would like to thank everybody for joining me today, and that I hope you have learned something new. I'll see you on the next episode of Making Filmmakers.